Hi guys, and welcome to episode 4 of the Stoic Performance Podcast. My name is Matty Green, and on today's show I have a very special friend of mine. He's a gym owner, a strength and conditioning coach called Tim Hotchin. In today's show we go into what makes an athlete, really delve deep into different types of sports, going through Tim's career, how he's kind of got to where he is at the moment, and it's just a great chat of all things strength and conditioning. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you like the content. Enjoy.
Hey.
Yeah, I've got you. How you doing, mate? You all
Yes.
right?
Yes, mate.
Good to see you.
You too.
What are you doing with that in the background? Why you got that in the background?
Hey, I picked this spot specifically for you.
I knew it. You're trying to put me off my game or something. How's things?
Good, mate. Red as today, innit?
Oh yeah, I burnt my neck and my top of my head.
You've been on your pull-up bar?
No, I've been doing some outdoor PT today, mate. So
Have you?
yeah. What have you been up to with regards to the lockdown and everything like that at the minute?
I've been still working from home for college, so I've been doing, marking, getting everything set up for the end of the year for that. Regarding the gym stuff, just online, keeping it as that for the minute.
Yeah. What kind of stuff have you been doing with the college students then?
Just marking the work, mate.
Right. What
Like written assignments.
yeah. How's that going?
Hard work.
I was gonna say, like, marking somebody else's work, and like it must be pretty tough to.
The marking bit is not the hardest bit. It's actually getting them to hand it in.
Right.
It's like just chasing them up, mate. So some of them are really good, getting it in, switched on, but a lot of them are just, I think a lot of them are working as well. They've got jobs in supermarkets, so
Yeah.
just a strange one, isn't it?
So with their work then, what are they progressing to? They are going to become personal trainers or coaches, or what's they going
At the minute, so the personal training course isn't running. I'm taking the gym instructors, so that's the level 2 qualification.
Mm-hmm.
So that obviously lets them get into working in like leisure centres, as a gym instructor.
Yeah.
And then on the sport courses, I'm doing the fitness instructing unit. So that's like on the strength conditioning, so periodization, looking at programming, just the basics really.
Yeah. So, like, for those who don't know, like, if you kind of give a little bit of a lowdown of your kind of life, what you're up to in the fitness industry, because it's quite a bit. There's quite a bit going on, isn't there?
What currently?
Yeah. With the gym.
Run a gym, CrossFit affiliate, been affiliated since 2013. Been working in gyms for the last 10 years, really. Started off local leisure centre. Level 2 gym instructor, then did level 3, went to uni, did a bit of PT abroad, and then whilst at uni, I've been involved with a few internships, worked in professional sport a little bit. Now kind of in education as well as running the gym.
Yeah, because you're doing the two side by side, really, aren't you? So it's
yeah.
How do you find juggling the pair of them?
It's hard, mate. It's like the current situation. It's obviously it's been nice to have the evenings back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, getting your evenings back. Working long days. It was one of them where I own a gym, but I hardly get any time to train really. So
yeah,
have a kind of a solid training routine back in place.
I've found that I've become much more consistent in my training at the moment. Now I've got a bit of time, because it used to be like rush to the gym. Like, obviously they're early mornings. I like to train like 1 to 3 o'clock. I find that I can hit it hardest round about those time of days,
Yeah.
anywhere between 1 and 4. And like sometimes I'd have to rush to the gym, work out. It'd just be a shit that workout, but I've been able, even though my sessions aren't huge, like I'm not going for anything longer, maybe 40, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
The quality and that, like, what I can put into them has been much, much better during
Yeah.
this period.
Almost like you prioritized it a bit more as well, rather than just kind of like trying to fit it in.
Yeah. And then really listening to my body as well. If I don't need to train or if I don't want to train, then I won't. I don't feel bad about not having a session in or anything like that. So it's been good. It's been all right that way.
No, good. Yeah. So I mean, training wise, kind of limited with kit. So yeah, it's been good to kind of mix it up and have to think on your feet a bit more as well, especially with the programming. The remote stuff we've been doing. A lot of our members took kit, basics, dumbbell, bumper plate, kettlebell, similar to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just mad how everyone's kind of rushed to buy rowing machines, ski ergs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guarantee there'll be people after this that still won't be able to do a push up.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
It's forgetting those basics, isn't it?
Yeah.
neglecting the basics.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And in terms of sports, like I think like the professional football teams just started back, haven't they, this week?
Yeah.
They've started back training. Well, in England anyway. I know Germany, they started at the weekend. So it'll be interesting, mate, to see how things pan out in terms of sport coming back into action.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to a lad I was training this morning. So he's on a scholarship with Warrington Wolves.
Yeah.
So he's 15 now. But I said to him, like, it'll be interesting to see because across the board, like from grassroots all the way up to elite level, everyone's in the same boat across the entire world pretty much. And everybody's kind of, it'll be interesting to see the skill fade and like the sharpness of like match fitness when we return to sport, and if there is any difference or what. But also like the injury rate. I think I saw something you put on the other day. What was it? Quite a few injuries that happened in the.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember who it was. I think it was obviously Bundesliga. 6 injuries that weekend. Picked up just from them weekend games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there was like soft tissue, if there was non-contact or what, but
I guess
I think it's even more so if you think of like rugby and in the States, like the American football, those type of those impact collision sports. What effect it's going to have in terms of people preparing. And I think a big issue is, I think I kind of commented on it before, that difference between working out for fitness and training as an athlete.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're an athlete and you're following a kind of a high volume CrossFit, type of training, it's not really going to do you any good athletically for your sport.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to what the team S&C coaches and that are pushing out to them, and what they've got available to them kit wise. I mean, I guess your top level, they're going to have their own gyms kitted out with everything, so they'll be all right. But you kind of like, let's go for football, like your League One, League Two. Those types of players. How are they going to react? How are they going to come back to sport? That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think it's adhering to it as well. So I commented earlier about working with like college students. Just if they're adhering to it. So it's like them. Is there a way of tracking it, or is there going to be a way of when they come back to training? I think the big issue will be once they come back to the season, it's trying to cram everything in, you know, that's been missed.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just seeing where they're at, taking it from there, and then, you know, progressively just incremental increases in the load and the volume.
Do you think that teams will employ kind of like a mini pre-season to return back in?
I don't know, mate. It's like when are they on about the Premier League starting back?
I believe it's sometime in June, but I don't know. I've not looked in the last few days.
Yeah. So if they've started training this week, that's only a few weeks, isn't it?
Mm. And they've been off, what, 10 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, I was hoping they just scrap the season, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
So like, let's go back to kind of the beginning. Like, what got you into not just fitness? Because I remember we used to play football together as a kids, but I always remember you was very forward thinking, especially when we got to college with regards to training. Like, you were the very first person I saw who had like Vibram 5-finger toe shoes and stuff like that, and little things like that, which I've, you know, think back to and think, Tim was doing that way before I heard about anybody doing that.
Yeah.
You were the first person who kind of put me onto like CrossFit style training and things like that. So where did it kind of come from with yourself? Where did your love of fitness come from?
I think it started off, mate, obviously playing football, and just that, you know, trying to get a bit stronger, you know, playing against older lads at that age, you know, a couple of years difference. There's a massive difference in physicality, isn't there? You know, I think when you're, you know, 16 and you're in the under 18 league, then going into men's football, it's, you know, so I think it just started off classic, just bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You know, but then soon realised, like, that's bodybuilding and playing football doesn't go hand in hand. You know, so then just kind of, I've always been interested in it, and I think like through school and college, always did all right in terms of grades, but never really, you know, tried that hard as such. Just kind of went to college to play football, really. I can remember while we was there, obviously you was getting ready to go into the Marines, weren't you?
Yeah.
And it was at that stage, once we finished college, it was like, right, university. And then I think I did an apprenticeship at the world famous Scunthorpe Steelworks.
Yep.
But kind of like got bored of that. And then obviously you was in the Marines. And then I decided to have a stint, didn't I?
Yeah. So what year was that? Was that like 2007 or something, 2006?
Yeah, because I think when I actually started basic training, I think I had my 21st birthday while I was there. So that would have been like January.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, one for me, you know, one of the hardest things I've ever done.
And what did you kind of find difficult about it? At what point did you think, right, this is not for me, I'm not doing it?
Well, I can always remember. Can you remember we went to that open? It was like an open event in Nottingham.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, because it was Delta Company, wasn't it? Who was there, and I saw a lot of my old friends.
Yeah, so I kind of said to you, look, I'm doing this apprenticeship on the steelworks. You know, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. And obviously you was in the Marines. And I kind of looked at it, you know, fitness, you know, you're doing fitness every day, you know, almost kind of like in that team aspect, you know, with a group of lads going through training together kind of thing. Can remember doing that open day and absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. Came away buzzing from it, and that kind of like kicked me on. So then did the test, did the PRMC again, did really well on that. Really enjoyed it.
You was at that type of fitness. You'd smash that. I knew you'd smash it.
Yeah, you know, and I enjoyed it, mate. To be fair, it was good. Is it a full weekend, that the PRMC?
It's over 3 days. I think it's over 3 days.
Yeah, because I can remember, you know, being there. Came back, started getting ready for it, you know. But it's like the advert says, you know, it's that state of mind, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't think can you train for that?
I will definitely come on to this in a bit because that's what I wanted to touch on. But I believe you can instill it.
Yeah.
You've got to be receptive to it.
Yeah, and I think for me, when I went in and started the 32-week basic training,
yeah,
within that first week, I kind of knew, this isn't for me type of thing.
Yeah.
I think it was just I wasn't there for the right reasons. I don't think.
It's the shock of capture, innit? It's like you're in a room with 60 other lads that you've never met.
Yeah.
And it is all steam ahead. And yeah, I mean,
things like
when I joined, within the lad who was in the bed space next to me, he was gone within 1 hour. 1 hour gone.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. Which, mate, that's respect. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, like I just turned 17 and I was like, got there, sat down, we had to go get my head shaved. Obviously I shave my head all the time now, but I did have hair back then. Head shaved, everybody's looking the same. I'm sat down on my bed and then this lad was like, no, I'm going. And I was like, what? I literally just shook his hand to,
yeah.
And then he left. And then a few followed. It was interesting. Like a couple followed like very soon after. But it is a shock of capture.
Yeah, I think for me as well, like my kind of personality, I'd say I'm quite an introvert, like keep myself to myself, quite, quiet. Whereas some of the lads there, was complete opposite. Not necessarily, I wouldn't say there was bad lads, but just being in that environment where, you just couldn't go and off and do your own thing. And just being in that, in that setting, like you say, lack of sleep and then just playing the game, I suppose, with getting everything ragged out, you set up after you've been all night, getting it stowed away. And I think I called one of the corporals mate one time.
Oh no.
So obviously that's a no-no, isn't it?
I bet you learned that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's like I thought. When you go through training and you go to your units.
Yeah.
You call each other mate.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's literally just why? Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't call my troop commander mate. I'd call him boss. He'd be called boss, but I wouldn't call him mate.
The other lad, yeah.
But and again, it would depend who you had. I mean, if you had someone who's completely by the book, I mean, all corporals would be your mates eventually. If you were the sprog, so if you just come out of training, then I wouldn't be going up and calling someone mate straight away. But if you called them corporal, you'd probably get a slap around the ear.
Yeah, mate, it was just like just a slip of the just an unconscious. Oh yeah, cheers, mate, and it was like.
Everybody stopped what they were doing and just turned and looked at
it. And I think what capped it off for me was I can't remember if it was like week 4 or 5. I think it's that first exercise that you do.
There is early night where you stay. I think that's in week 2 or 3. Yeah, there's a couple of what's it called? It'll come to me. But
basically we've gone somewhere, and you're out getting put through it. And then it was like January, so it was freezing. Yeah. And I can remember during the day, whatever we was doing, I had all like dog shit all over my stuff. So I stunk. And then when you set up camp.
Yeah.
And then you take it in turns with your mate. You have to do that wet and dry routine.
Yeah.
But then getting up and having to put all my wet dog shit covered stuff back on. It was freezing.
Crack the t-shirt because it's frozen.
Yeah, mate. The lad I was with, he was just buzzing. He was like, "This is amazing. This is great, innit?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think me and you were on the same." And that's when it just sunk. I was like, there mentally, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And just one suited to it. So, but saying that, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done.
Yep.
Definitely learned a lot about myself doing it, and I think kind of taking away, even though it was only 5 weeks, and kind of use that as a positive, really.
Yeah.
I think definitely give me a kick up the backside to kind of decide, what route I wanted to go down. So when I came out, that's when I focused on, going to uni and getting into what it is I'm doing now.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, you've got to try these things in life. Can you imagine if you never went, and then if you always had regret of maybe I could have done that, or
yeah. So I mean, it's quite interesting. We both went those different paths. We've kind of ended up in a similar place.
Yeah.
So I mean, going back to your question really about training, just always been interested in it. And I can always remember, actually, while I was at uni, you helped me out with my dissertation, didn't you? Because I did my dissertation on barefoot running.
Yeah.
So I actually did it on, again, I was influenced through that time there, just with lower limb injuries. So what I looked at was the running biomechanics and the gait of running barefoot compared to in a shod trainer or military boot.
Yeah.
So the rationale was the benefits of running barefoot in terms of a forefoot strike. So the weight is distributed more evenly through the body rather than a heel strike, which you tend to do in a big cushion trainer or a military boot. And then if you think, them lads that are doing it have got the weight on the back as well. What the differences in forces applied through the body were, especially like the ankle, the lower leg, and the knee. So my conclusion was, if there could be a phase of barefoot running or training to reinforce that technique, which could then be applied into those different wearing of shoes. So I think it was them Silver Shadows. They still wear them.
High-tech Silver Shadows. I think they do, yeah. I think they've been updated a bit, but...
So, yeah, that was interesting. I think I first, Born to Run, you read that book?
I can't remember who it's by. I don't think I have, no.
Basically, the Tarahumara tribe in Mexico.
Yeah.
They've been on a few, Last Man Standing. You remember that program?
Yes, yeah.
So they've got all different types of athletes, and they go around the world with different tribes. And basically, the Tarahumara, they run around like they run marathon every day, and they've got these like handmade flip flops made out of tires.
Yeah.
But they run a marathon kicking a ball to each other like through the mountains.
Wow.
So just find that's kind of really interesting, the types of what we consider to be an athlete in terms of playing sport. I really like those programs where they go around different parts of the world looking at humans, really.
It's almost taking a look back through a window in time, innit, and checking out how we've evolved almost. And this is what I've got such a big kind of thing on it myself. And going back to your dissertation on barefoot running again, like I left the Corps and my back was ruined. And I pretty much put it down to, yes, I was carrying heavy loads, but my running style was awful. I was a huge heel striker. I remember I did Total Warrior, the race up in Penrith in 2011. So this is just coming towards the end of my time. And obviously there's hundreds, thousands of people running this race. And Vicky's dad picked me out of the crowd because of my running style. My head was so far forward, and I was just running on my heels. And like I'm pretty tall and lanky, tall. But little did I know the effect that was kind of having on my spine. And it's like, do you think, looking back I mean, that dissertation, when was that? 2000
2012.
2012. So, best part of a decade ago. And I feel at the moment there's a huge kind of push towards barefoot trainers, and Vivo Barefoot and Vibram, and it's becoming more prevalent. Did you
Yeah.
think back then it would ever kind of like take off, or would it stay underground and just for people in the know?
Well, mate, it's one of them. It's like when you look at all kind of the elite long distance runners from Africa, they've all grown up barefoot.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a part in that book where there's an example where I think it's an ultra marathon, and I think it's Nike that get on to, and they sponsor these runners, but they've gone from running barefoot to wearing these Nike trainers, and halfway through the race they ditch the trainers.
Yeah, ruined.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not saying obviously people should be going around running barefoot all the time. And what we did find on that dissertation is that that transfer time, so just spending a bit more time just barefoot around the house, and then
Garden, yeah.
walking on in the garden, and hopping, jumping, landing. So yeah, it shouldn't just go straight from running shod into barefoot marathons. It's just kind of again, it's the analogy you use is if you've got a cast on your arm, if you break your arm, so you take all that protection away, and you're not using those muscles. When you take the cast off, that muscle atrophy, you've lost all that muscle, you've lost all that strength. So if you're doing the same in your foot, just in a big cushion bubble all the time,
yeah,
you're going to have weak feet.
I think it's a very clever ploy that the Nike and the Adidas and Reebok have done in the way that most people, when they go to buy shoes and trainers, they'll look at it from three different angles, and it will be usually number one is price. So can they afford it? Number two is aesthetics. How does it look? Do I like the way it looks? Do I like the color? Whatever. And number three will be comfort. How comfy is it? They'll never look at the practicality of the shoe. And because, we've kind of been zoned into this way of thinking where the more cushioned the heel is, the better it is for running, where it's the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well, it's another thing I'd add to that is, the influence from endorsements, and, if you see one of your favorite athletes wearing a certain type of trainer or piece of kit, then you're more likely to go and get it, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, Mo Farah sold his soul to me, quite literally. When he brought out, so one of my members rocked up as the gym, and she had these new Nikes on, and they've got like a little pointy heel at the back. And I was like, what are they? She's like, hey, these, Mo Farah says these are good. He's the one who's endorsing these. I was like, Mo Farah does not run on his heel ever. Like, look at the way Mo Farah runs. He's not heel striking whatsoever, but these are geared round to heel strike.
Yeah.
These types of trainers. But for me, I'm wondering when one of the big companies are going to bring out a barefoot shoe, like Nike, Adidas. Are they ever going to tuck tail and run and literally change tact? Or because I think as soon as one of them does it, they'll all have to do it.
Yeah, because I think they do like a minimal shoe, don't they? Like I know Nike do. Is it the free run, which is quite a low profile sole. But yeah, dead interesting. And the Vibrams, and again, it's one of them where I still wear trainers, but the majority of the time, just try and keep it as minimal as possible to strengthen your feet. For me personally, when I'm in the gym, it's either barefoot or I wear Vans.
Yeah.
Vans, Converse, even though they can be quite narrow, so they can squash your feet a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, playing football, when you're playing football, you want to try you get your boots as nice and snug as you can. So again, it's not great for your feet.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like the football boots are just so tight and narrow.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, like, I just couldn't. I mean, I hung my boots up a while ago, but I just don't think I could buy a new set.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I've got a couple still, you know, and they're all good. But again, it's the foot. You know, it's such a complex structure, isn't it? You know, you
Yeah.
think of all the kind of, you know,
And
all the sensory stuff that's going on there as well. You know, providing your foot in any sport or activity, your foot is, you know, it's the point of contact to the ground, isn't it?
yeah.
You know, when we think of whether it be changing direction, applying force into the ground, that sensory feedback's really important.
Mm. But ultimately, you're not going to play a game of tennis in the bare feet.
No. And again, you know, footwear is designed for specific reasons, like, you know, playing football, you know, you need those, you need studs, for example, you know, and you think of the football boots now compared to when we were kids. Came with my first pair of football boots.
Yeah.
I think they were about that thick.
I had some
I was like,
Adidas Questras.
Westers, yeah, classic. Yeah. But
Um,
yeah, and you know, in terms of training, I think I first got into CrossFit while I was at uni, so that was around 2009.
yeah.
And I just really liked it because I saw it as a bit of it was a bit underground at the time. You know, it wasn't really mainstream.
Yeah.
Um,
Very.
and at the same time, that was when doing strength and conditioning at uni. You know, it was the first time I was introduced to the Olympic lifts, so snatch, clean, and jerk. And the only place you could really do that at the time was, you know, in a CrossFit affiliate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got into it. And I just saw it as, when you think of the components of fitness, you know, and kind of, I know we discussed it before about being an athlete. You mentioned Mo Farah. Would you class him as a, well, I suppose the difference between being an athlete and being athletic?
Yeah.
He's definitely an athlete.
Definitely an athlete.
But is he athletic?
Is he athletic? Could he absorb force? Could he transfer force? Could he change direction quickly?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, he'd do
Yeah.
all right. I mean, he's a bit of a freak, but
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of them where, I mean, I've done it with my students at college. You know, you say to them, write down on a piece of paper who's the fittest person, or who's the fittest sports you know, type of athlete in the world. And the majority of them put, you know, like a long endurance type of athlete down as their answer.
yeah, and yeah,
Um,
it's mainstream, isn't it? It's mainstream thinking of, because you
yeah,
can run far, they're very fit, very
yeah,
fit as a fiddle or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, the way you kind of, myself as well, approach fitness in a different way. I'm looking at now, especially since I've come back from injuries, how capable am I of getting out of danger if I need to? How capable am I of, you know, saving somebody's life if I need to? Like, because I'm
yeah.
not playing sport anymore, but it's not just
It's
about
real life fitness, isn't it?
yeah. It's not just. I mean, we've been moving, changing the patio recently. Like, it's heavy shit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's proper fit. Like, how can I move this stuff without
yeah,
getting injured and little
yeah.
things like that?
So I know on your listening to your previous podcast, you mentioned how where you was in Australia, you was doing CrossFit, weren't you? And it kind of, that's what flared up your back.
Yes, I feel I wasn't ready for the movements, for snatching for time, for you know, putting movements together, which I didn't really understand or, you know the principles of. But for me, CrossFit, I loved it to begin with. I absolutely loved it. You introduced me to it, really, and then I didn't, back in 2009, 2010. I took elements of that into my training in the core, and then obviously I was never doing any barbell work, but similar type stuff. And then once I
Yeah.
got to Australia and then got to CrossFit Gladstone, that was when I loved it. I absolutely buzzed off it, but it broke me, and it's because I wasn't ready for the. I was ready for the 3, 2, 1, go. That mentality of get work done as fast as possible and beat everybody else. That's all I did. I worked my hardest to build up, but I was seeing benefits. I was getting stronger. I felt like I was getting fitter. But then ultimately, it kind of like broke me down silently, quietly broke me down. And I had to take a step back from it and look at CrossFit as and again, people think I hate CrossFit. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like the level of athleticism I feel at the top of the game is absolutely incredible. To see what these human beings are doing, are capable of, lifting such heavy loads, moving distances so quickly, no matter what modality it is, if it's on the water, if it's on land, it's unbelievable. Gymnastics. But I think if it's coached poorly, it can be very, very dangerous for someone who, for anybody.
Yeah. So with that, then, do you think it was more down to the poor coaching that kind of driven that issue, or was it a bit more towards your mentality? Coming from the Marines, it's like, right, that never kind of give up attitude and just trying to keep push through it all the time.
I think a bit of both. Like, I did try and push through anything. The programming, there was no real emphasis on core strength, core stability, rotational movements, nothing like that. Everything seemed just very sagittal. And I feel CrossFit is still in that kind of just everything is sagittal rather than transverse or frontal. So, I mean, with the injuries I had, I just couldn't see that I'd ever get back into to CrossFit.
It's again. Like for me, coaching, someone comes in, and if they've got an issue, CrossFit will highlight it.
Yeah.
100%. And then being a coach, you can address that, through scaling, through regressions, through progressions, but ultimately it comes down to the individual. Someone like yourself who'll go away, I've got an issue, right, what do I need to do to try and fix it? Whereas others, they'll just be like, just keep working through it until it's like game over.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's where it gets a bad rep. But for me, if you look at, like the CrossFit journal, the level 1 journal, that is a solid piece of, reference material for anybody. And again, I've done loads of the courses, the online programming. And again, I think that easy access, you do your level 1 and you can open a CrossFit affiliate. But then at the same time, you don't need any qualifications really to open a gym. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with other courses. I know you've done like your weightlifting. That was a weekend course, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So again, I can see both sides of the argument. But for me, and I mean, you mentioned there like the elite, like kind of the CrossFit as a sport. But as for your general population, every day today, you mentioned about how that kind of mindset is towards that aerobic, that cardiovascular fitness. CrossFit gives you the full package of those 10 components.
Yeah.
So your strength, your stamina, your speed, your power, coordination, agility, balance, and it's putting it through that package where you're constantly working towards it as general physical preparation.
Yeah.
And if you look at, I think Greg Glassman, if you come at that 100 fitness in 100 words.
Yes, I think I can. Yeah.
It's like eat nuts, meat, seeds, and at the bottom of it, it's constantly learn and play new sports.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where that kind of athleticism side of it comes into play. When you're talking about lack of rotational movements, But a lot of people don't treat it as that. It's just a case of like, right, let's get in the gym, let's do a massive hero WOD all the time, because that's what they see it as. And again, for me, programming, if I put on the workout for the day, it's going to be, a set of 6 sprints, full recovery in between, with a bit of prep work and a bit of mobility after. The class will be pretty low. Whereas if you put something in there, like when we do Murph, the gym's rammed. So like, people don't know Murph, it's like a mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, a mile run again in a weighted vest. And I think it's that where people have the need to just kill themselves all the time, to feel as though they're getting a benefit from the workout or the training, that, it ultimately turns into a negative. So I like that, train to stimulate, not annihilate. So for me personally, I've tried to kind of like separate the two things now. So, CrossFit Scunthorpe, for general pop, and then ATP S&C, so that's athletic training plan. Which delves more into that athletic preparation, if you like.
That's awesome. And like, when coming out of doing your uni degree, and then what was the degree in to first up?
So it was sports science with the final pathway in strength conditioning, which for me, I know, again, there's that big discussion, isn't there, about, do you really need a degree to be a strength conditioning coach? But at the end of the day, it's a piece of paper with your name on it, which opens doors, So if you look at jobs now in professional sport, it's, most of them now, it's a master's degree they're looking for.
It's a long, a lot of education that I need to get to.
But again, for me, like mentioned, when I tried for the Marines, like going to uni was, I think it's up there with one of the best things I've done. The internships, so I did loads of internships. A good thing with Manchester is obviously that it's such a sporting place. There's so many kind of places and teams to get involved with. And I think because I was a bit older, I was classed as a mature student when I went. I kind of seized that opportunity a bit more, rather than the younger lads who were there, who were just kind of, straight out of college and
on the pace.
But yeah, that was great. So I did an internship with Salford Red Rugby League, which was good. I can remember my first day there. Sean Long, you've heard of him, rugby league player?
Yeah.
He was like a bit of a legend, cool guy. It was like, right, my first day there. So you've got a full squad of rugby league lads. Didn't even introduce me. It was like, right, Tim, take the warm up. It was like, so I think it was just like a test.
Yeah.
How did
you
do that? my ass fell out. But I think at the time, because I've been working in gyms, like before that, and at the time I was working in a gym as well part-time. Once I kind of like settled myself down and just put a bit of a warm-up together, it wasn't anything specific to what the lads were normally used to, but again, I think it was just a bit of a test really to see what I was up to. And I can actually remember in an interview, it was like, oh, so do you play rugby? I was like, yeah, play it all the time at school.
Yeah.
And I remember in one of the drills, one of the lads dropped out injured. He's like, Tim, jump in.
Oh, no.
So, mate, like throwing a rugby ball. Like offloading it to the left-hand side, being a right-hand is all right. But, mate, I think it was like in a square, and you had to offload it and then do like a sprawl and then sprint to the next cone. I was in there like wrestling with these rugby league lads. It was great, yeah. So yeah, I think anyone who wants to get into strength conditioning, it's not depending on what route you want to go down. Like obviously you've done it, and you've got your own place, and I mean, you look at someone like Louis Simmons, he's probably like the most knowledgeable guy,
Yeah.
you know, has such a kind of a foothold in strength and conditioning. He's not got a degree but again, I think it's one of them where I like to kind of, reverse engineer where you want to go. So if you want to get into professional sport, you kind of look like, what do I need to get there? If you need a degree, then it's worth doing, isn't it?
Yeah. I felt for me, when I first started getting into this industry, I was like, I'm going to have to get a degree at some point. Need these numbers and names next to my name and stuff like this, and letters and stuff like that. And I feel we're lucky in the fact that there's so much information out there. We can learn so much now compared to a Louis Simmons who, he didn't have to have his head in books.
Yeah.
We've got Google. But
yeah.
Ultimate, going off from that, it's, am I learning the good stuff? Am I learning stuff from, people who are reputable coaches? Are they just spouting bullshit? Because there's so much of that on the internet, and it's been careful not to do that. But then I realized that I don't, I'm not going to get into professional sport, team sport anyway. Am I going to need to go through, I did all the UKSCA workshops, thought I was going to go through that. And then I thought, well, do I need to do that?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the gold standard, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
When you're looking at jobs, it's, UKSCA are working towards. And again, it's one of them, like I remember on the degree, it was, a real big emphasis on Olympic lifting, towards your assessment for the UKSCA. So at the end of my degree, I did my CSCS, which is NSCA. Yeah. So it's like the American equivalent, if you like. And that's just a lot easier too. It's just like an online test. So luckily you have
to have a degree to get on that first.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, but the thing is, it can be a degree in anything.
Yeah.
So you could have done a degree in, I don't know, gaming or something. And
well, that's it. That's where I'm limited, because I won't mind doing that course, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
But my sister, who's got a degree in graphic design, could go and do it.
Yeah. So it's that. And again, with that, the courses I've done through CrossFit, I've got so much more from that CSCS. But because the way things are, because I got that qualification, that's what allowed me to do to work in. I've worked with a couple of professional football teams, at first team and academies, and now doing strength and conditioning at the college. It's because I've got that piece of paper with my name on it. It just gives you that opportunity, I suppose.
What do you think the UK's team sport strength and conditioning is like compared to the Americans?
Hard to say, because obviously you've not been in that environment. But from what you've seen, I think like in terms of the facilities, they're on like a different level, aren't they?
Yeah, different level.
Yeah. And obviously I follow a few guys on social media and whatnot. But I think for me, I think that the American sports are better suited towards strength conditioning, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you look at American football, basketball, whereas like I've worked in football at kind of lower league level, and it's kind of just one of them where like to tick a box almost. It's like, we've got the lads are doing strength and conditioning.
Yeah. Are they really?
Yeah.
They're doing a good warm up.
Yeah, it's and again, but that's why, like similar to yourself, I like kind of being, freelance almost, where people are coming to you off their own backs, and you are free to apply your knowledge how you want to do it, rather than under the constraints of someone else ultimately.
Yeah.
Like I can remember I went for an interview for this job with a football team, and the manager, he was saying, oh yeah, last season we had these two lads, should have seen them in the changing rooms, the physique, that's how we want our players to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And I said to him, "Oh, them players any good then?" He was like, "Oh no, they didn't play." And I was like, well, you're saying you want your players to be like that, but just because they look the part doesn't mean they're going to be able to do the business on the pitch.
See, that happens a lot in the NFL Combine, doesn't it? Like some coaches, what was I listening to the other day? Some coaches, what do they call it? They call it something like a beauty contest almost. I can't remember what the name
Right.
for it, but it's like to get a draft pick, lads will, they've got these unbelievable physiques. They'll be taking their tops off doing the combine. They might not necessarily get the numbers, which, so heavily scrutinized, but because they look the part, they'll get a draft pick.
Right.
But like you say, just because they look the part doesn't mean they're going to be playing the part.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I know you take a keen interest in lots of sports. Like, you've been playing American football with the Scunthorpe Alphas, is it?
Well, I've not actually played yet.
Right. You started it.
Yeah. Got injured.
Trained. Got injured.
What it was is started out and it's like, right, yeah, I'm going to play American football. Need to get, bigger, stronger, which I did,
Definitely.
I think I went from, we did a CrossFit comp and it was like a 3 rep max bench press. I think I got 90 kilo.
Yeah.
And that was in the September. By end of December, I think I benched 90 for 17.
Wow.
Put on, I think I went from 85 kilo to over 95.
Yeah.
Strength shot up, power cleans, all that. But yeah, started training and I'm one of them where if I start something, I'll just practice it, just keep practicing. And I was practicing kicking. Obviously playing football, I thought, I fancy a bit of this kicking. And I can remember being in Central Park and I was there, for ages, just kicking these American footballs. And I torn something in my hip flexor.
Oh.
But it was one of them where didn't really, address it, just carried on training, in a bit of pain. Won't really, be able to run at all out intensity. I thought, it'll soon go. And anyway, it just went.
Yeah.
So now this season, touch wood, address that. But then obviously the current situation's happened, hasn't it? And all games have been cancelled.
And basketball started to, obviously on the social media, you've got a basketball net now that started to kind of come about. And I think watching The Last Dance, it's made me want to go get a basketball net as well. But like, I'd lower it to like 6.5 foot like you have, so I can slam dunk it. But like, what do you think with the American sports? Like you say, the gear, much more athletic, all-round athletic performance. What would you say is like the most athletic sport to be? If you could, it's hard and it's a tough question.
Yeah.
But if you had one elite level of every sport, who would you say would win most things?
Well, I think it's very specific, isn't it? When we look at, like, I think you could easily compare, like, who's the most athletic footballer.
Yeah.
Or who's the most athletic rugby player or American footballer. I think for me, in terms of athleticism, like talking about soccer or football, I think you'd probably say like a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Right.
For me, like, I think Ronaldo is what I'd class as an athlete.
Yeah.
And there's always that discussion of who's better, Ronaldo or Messi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of the skill element that's involved with that sport, I think that's why Messi's up there as well. I think he's much more of a skillful player than Ronaldo. But in terms of pure athleticism, the way he plays the game.
And at his age too now, like.
Yeah, mate, same age as us.
Yeah, and that header.
Yeah.
This season, that's unreal.
Yeah.
That's
like,
Michael Jordan type.
Yeah. When you think of like over, but again, that's interesting, right? Like, have you got to that bit on The Last Dance where Michael Jordan's gone from playing baseball back to basketball again?
No, I think that's tonight's episode. I'm at like 7 or 8, episode 7 or 8, I think.
Yeah, it's like he comes back. I won't spoil it for you. I won't tell you, but it basically comes back and he's a bit rusty, and he's like, "Yeah, I need to change my baseball body into a basketball body." And the guy interviewing saying, "How did you do that?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I just worked more on my chest and my shoulders."
Yeah.
And you sat there thinking, right? So you're telling me working on your chest and your shoulders has made you into more of a basketball player?
Yeah.
So for me, it just shows like, to be a good coach or, involved in strength and conditioning, you don't necessarily have to be at that, a high level in terms of playing the game, because most of the time, those at the highest level during the game, are just a bit like the freaks of nature, really, aren't they? They don't even really have to think about, improving in the gym because they're just so athletically gifted. That's how they're able to perform.
I think.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's up there, mate.
Yeah, has to be. Like, looking back at some of the footage from him, like the speed at which he can move that basketball when he's going up for like a shot or whatever, and the speed at which he moves the ball away from the eye and then puts it in, it's just unbelievable. I never realised how good it was. It's made me think like, I do actually want to start watching a bit of basketball when it returns.
Yeah. Well, like, you're taking the piss out of me having a basketball hoop in my back garden. But I told my missus it was for my little lad, and when he didn't like it, I was, oh, well, I'll just have to keep it anyway. But in terms of like, like jumping, such an athletic movement, something like jumping and then having that intent and that coordination of being able to dunk a ball into a net.
Yeah.
That's athleticism.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas you think of like, when we talk about CrossFit again, if there's box jumps, that's not being athletic, just hopping up and down onto a box. I'd say that from general to specific in the movement, then not necessarily in CrossFit, but a box jump, you would apply that towards that end goal. But yeah, I mean, I recently did that power athlete course.
Yeah.
And there, I think you did the seminar, didn't you?
I did, yeah, the weekend one, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they're brilliant, because they're separating that working out for fitness, whereas training to be an athlete, incorporating those primal movements through those different axes of rotation that can, allows you to play American football. So, so you're running as fast as you can whilst having to turn, catch a ball, react, and, separate your body from your opponent in that kind of agility aspect. It's like I see it all the time at the gym. I'll try and do some basic like running drills, So you've got these people who are obviously, fit in terms of work capacity, but get them to kind of run and catch a ball, and it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But for me, I think athletically, and when we talked about earlier about kind of human evolution, I think you've like them UFC fighters are up there, aren't they?
That was where I was coming to next. I feel MMA fighters are some of the most unbelievable athletes on the planet.
Yeah, 100%.
In terms, the ability to transfer force, to think under pressure, to, throw kicks, punches, just like agility, unbelievable.
Yeah. And again, like when you scope it, when we talk about the components of fitness, they absorb it all, don't they? They need it. They need that full package.
They do. And the thing with me, with MMA, I believe it it's in its infancy. Like, you can look 10 years ago and you'd still see, a predominant boxer with a bit of a wrestling background, or you'd see, a wrestler with a limited striking ability, or jiu-jitsu, mainly jiu-jitsu with a little bit of boxing. But now, fast forward only 10, 15 years, they're completely all-rounders.
Yeah.
And I feel, going, well, let's look at in another 10, 15, 20 years time, what MMA fighters are going to be like. I think they'll be scary, just unbelievably strong, agile, powerful, quick. Not, they're scary any day anyway. Like, I won't want to go against one of them, but in terms of pure athleticism, I think they'll be top of the tree.
Yeah. And I think as well, on top of that, there's that element of you've got someone stood in front of you trying to do exactly the same to you, so there's no escaping it, is there?
Yeah.
And I think that ties into what you mentioned before about that kind of, that mental side of things as well.
And that's, you're alone. It's you and only you.
Yeah. It's not like you're on a team where you can almost, someone might hide a little bit, or, lose a bit of responsibility. It's all, like I say, it's all down to you.
Yeah. And it's like, they've got to have that endurance, both mentally and physically. If you switch off in, the 25th minute of a championship fight, if you switch off for that second, even if you're winning the fight, bang.
Yeah.
Your lights could be out, or you could be choked unconscious. And it's having that ability, that mindset to deal with that, that pressure under the lights in front of millions of people on the planet. I mean, MMA is going places, I think. S&C. And it's still very new at S&C in terms of MMA fighters. Very, very new.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, even with something like boxing, I think, the methods are so, like, outdated, aren't they? For most people that box. So there's so much more that can be done. I follow Boxing Science.
Yeah.
So them guys are really good. And obviously you've got Phil DeRue, haven't you?
Yeah.
Who's involved with that. Yeah. But really interesting. As well, like, I was thinking about this yesterday when you mentioned it, what kind of thing I was going to talk about. And one thing I wish that had been around when we were kids is parkour.
Yeah.
So in terms of, like, athleticism, the stuff that them guys do, I think it's unbelievable. Just that ability to move from A to B through space, over different objects.
Yeah.
Absorbing and producing force is unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, like, true athleticism. What I want to just kind of touch on next, just kind of finish off, is, and I think it's a good lead in from MMA, is, I know he's one of your, like, biggest influences, is Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Just first of all, like, why? I know, for those who don't know, Tim's got it's almost like a life-size tattoo of him on your back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where did the kind of Bruce Lee thing come from for you, and what did you see in him?
I can always remember when we was kids, my dad had the full collection of Bruce Lee movies. And there's that scene, where he's fighting Chuck Norris in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
I don't know which film it is, actually. Got my memory on that, but and then just kind of like, getting into the Bruce Lee films, and then you start training and just getting into more of, like, his philosophy, really. And I think his, that kind of that Jeet Kune Do that he came up with, in terms of, like, taking all the different types of martial arts and taking the best bits, which is ultimately, like, UFC, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
And just, I really like his philosophy of absorb what is useful, disregard what is not,
yeah,
and create what is uniquely your own. So in terms of like a training standpoint as well, I think that's a really good kind of a method, really.
Yeah.
So all methods are based on principles, you know, and it's just about creating your own individual method, because there's not one, you know, one size fits all, if you like.
No. How do you feel he would do in today's, if he was in, you know,
I don't know. It's hard, that, isn't it?
it is hard. It is very hard, but you
At the
know,
end of the day, he was a movie star, wasn't he?
I think he was a movie star second.
Yeah.
And he was a true martial artist in every sense of the word first, and he fell into the movie world. But ultimately, I feel, you know, what he's done in terms of bring martial arts to the world,
Yeah.
is second to none. Like, there's no one who's.
Yeah.
And like you say, you could argue that MMA was kind of born from things he said.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Putting it all together,
Yeah.
and trying to find a true champion. It's
Yeah. Here's one for you.
go on.
CrossFit is to fitness what MMA is to fighting.
What, true or false?
What's your opinion on it? So
um,
the idea is obviously MMA.
yeah,
It's not one specialized method of fighting. You're kind of taking all these different methods and putting them together. Similar to CrossFit, you know, it's not just one specialized method of training. It's taking all those different methods and putting them together. So is it better to be a specialist or more of a general?
generalist.
Yeah.
I feel most MMA fighters today, going back to what we said earlier, will be generalists. They won't be specifying in much anymore. They may have a background of jiu-jitsu, or they may have a background of boxing or wrestling, but I feel they'll have to become much more generalistic and train all the skills from a young age. That's where I see MMA going, is from a young age. They'll need to be doing jiu-jitsu. They'll need to have some form of grappling game. They'll need to have some form of striking game.
Yeah.
And S&C will have to be a role in, you know, I'm already thinking, how am I going to train my girls
Yeah. Yeah.
as they grow up?
So at the minute then, do you think it's more of a case of you've got guys and girls who have come from a specialist background and now just trying to kind of put the pieces together of those other methods, if you like, those other types of fighting?
Yeah, I feel the next phase where MMA is going is they'll be much more generalistic. They'll have multiple backgrounds, multiple disciplines. Yeah, it's just the way you just see the way they move now. It's you know, so very. A good book to read is Dan Hardy's Full Reptile.
Right.
Very good book. He's got a great mind for MMA.
Yeah.
Where he sees it going. But definitely, I feel they'll have to be, you know, experienced in all forms. They won't be able to. They'll be behind the curve if they're just a boxer or if they're just a wrestler, and they
Yeah.
may learn later on. I mean, you see Gordon Ryan now. You know, the best submission grappler on the planet, and I think he's making a move into MMA. Saw a bit of work he did on the pads. Wow, he's got a long way to go. Long
Yeah.
way to go. But then you could argue, if he does get hold of you, you know, it's going to be lights out.
Yeah.
But I feel in the next kind of transitional phase of the next 10, 15 years, MMA is going to have to be much more multidisciplined, and not just relying on your jiu-jitsu game or something like that.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but that's how I feel it will.
Yeah. So in terms of like going back to my question then, if UFC or mixed martial arts is the best way to train for fighting, then why isn't CrossFit the best type of method for fitness? If it's based on the same principle.
I guess it's going to come down to the individual as well. Like MMA is not the best way to train to fight as such in one discipline. And then you could argue that, like we said, there isn't coach dependent, gym dependent. There's not much emphasis on rotational movements for CrossFit. Real life movement, you know, like I said earlier, everything is just measured on sagittal plane movements. I'd like to see some throwing type stuff, some jump, you know, things like that in CrossFit a bit more.
It's really good actually. Like I think it was the Australian. Did you see? I don't know if I saw it. The flags event. It's like a lifeguarding thing where basically like a sprint on, so you're all laid down and it's a sprint. You know, you've got to like get up off your belly, turn around and sprint to a flag. So if there's 5 of you, but there's only 3 flags.
Oh yeah. Someone's told me about this. Yeah.
You know, so, and again, I think it's that idea that CrossFit is just, you know, just balls out, you know, performing these complex movements under fatigue. Whereas if you do it properly, you know, that is an aspect of it, especially when it comes to like competition. But your day-to-day training shouldn't be like that, you know.
No, definitely not. And that's why I say it comes down to who's programming for the gym, the coach's understanding, right? Looking at each individual. Look, you've been in here, you've been smashing yourself the last 3 or 4 weeks. Have a rest week, have a deload week, chill out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what becomes difficult. You know, when someone wants to come in and, you know, just hammer themselves, like, into a sweaty mess on the floor. I think that's why it's important to try and, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, if you notice now, Phil Daru's left American Top Team, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You see how he set up 2 separate gyms, one for fitness
and one for performance.
Yeah. So I find that dead interesting, you know, rather than doing it under the same roof.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting.
No, it's good. So, Tim, mate, first of all, I just want to say thank you for your time, mate. It's been absolutely class having you on. And if people want to like find you, website, Instagram, what's your handles for that?
I'm just using Instagram at the minute, so it's t.hotchin. And then from that page, I've got links to the CrossFit Scunny. I've got Battle Box United, which is something we're looking to set up. It's basically a mobile gym on wheels, if you like, from BeaverFit.
Okay, yeah.
So we're looking to roll that out, get out and about different events, seminars, workshops, that type of stuff. And then, the ATP athlete training plan, which is, you know, more aimed towards the athlete and performance side of things for sport.
That's great, mate. I'll put a link to all them in the description. But thank you, mate. I've enjoyed it. It's been a good one.
Well, mate, you have to get out on the paddle boards in this weather.
Definitely, yeah. We're going to be getting them out 100%. You'll have to. I mean, this weekend you was meant to be coming up this weekend, weren't you? This is the weekend.
Yeah.
So, we'll get it sorted again, mate.
Yeah. If you go out, just make sure you get some sun cream on that head.
I know. Look at it. All right, mate. Take care.
Bye. See you in a bit.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.